All right, welcome to the Three Beards podcast. Craig, Boston. Chris is out sick today, so we called in a guest beard. You may know him. Keith Cassiano, how are you, sir?
Fantastic. Thank you for
Thank you
having me on. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm happy to fill out and help you guys out whenever I can.
We've always kind of joked when we have guests on, we need to give them like these little on the stick, with a fake beard. But luckily with you come already.
Yeah.
So you're already set.
I could make one because I think that'd be pretty. Like the Kevin Spacey face.
Yeah, just go ahead.
I am the manager.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Thank you. I'm really flattered that you guys wanted to call out to me to help you out. So I'll do whatever I can.
Oh yeah, it was one of those where kind of like last minute. We're like, Chris isn't feeling good, so we're just like, oh no, what do we do? I go, we could try to pull it off, but I'm like, having another voice is always helpful. So appreciate it. So we're talking about program Solar Warden tonight. This one, there's going to be a lot of people that don't know anything about this, and what this one is, kind of in a nutshell, is this kind of hangs out in really the far reaches of the tinfoil hat area. Because a lot of people, I mean, you think about it, we're getting ready to talk about a program, supposedly. We have a space fleet out in space that's potentially protecting us from extraterrestrial threats, or working on some program that's harnessing solar energy to redirect into another weapon to defend us against asteroids, comet strikes. So you have these, and people are just like, what are you talking about? You've got some guy in his basement that's like, I've got this information. You've got to know. And people are like, you're crazy. But then steps in Mr. Gary McKinnon. I don't know if you guys know that name or not. He's came out in the Bush administration, a Scottish hacker went by the name Solo. He hacked into military sites. So that's the thing is, so this isn't even conspiracy land now. So here you have Gary McKinnon. He perpetrated the largest hacking of a military computer system. He's alleged to have hacked 97 U.S. military and NASA computers between February 2001 and March 2002. So a 13-month period, he's hacking into these military computers. And so he shut down the U.S. Army's Military District of Washington network, which is 2,000 computers, for 24 hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah. He posted a notice on their website that said, your security is crap. And then he proceeded to post another message that says, U.S. foreign policy is akin to government-sponsored terrorism these days. It was not a mistake that there was a huge security stand down on September 11th last year. I am Solo. I will continue to disrupt at the highest levels.
God.
So, like I said, this is all fact. I mean, this isn't crazy. This guy's just making this up. I mean, this has actually happened because President Bush and they wanted this guy extradited to the U.S. to face up to 7 charges, which were they were almost 10 years apiece. So he was facing 70 years in prison.
Holy cow.
But what happened is, as the things go down, and I can get into some of those parts later because I have those, what happened is, if they had brought him here to trial, they would have to publicly bring forth this stuff actually exists, because he would have called this stuff into evidence. And so you can't walk up to him with this big sheet that's redacted and say, yeah, here's what he requested. They're like, no, you have to provide the information. So to this day, he has yet to be extradited to the U.S.
Smart man.
So what he found during this hacking is he found information on SSP, the secret space program, also known as MIC SSP, Military Industrial Complex. It's run under the U.S. Air Force. And what he was finding as he's going through, he was finding under that, he was finding, I think it said Solar Warden. And so he looked at it because I'll skip back a little bit. What he was looking for originally in the hacking is he was trying to find evidence that U.S. military had, I think it was point source energy, or let's see if I can find the exact quote on that. I'm sorry, but it was one where he thought that they had they had information on just different energy technologies that could be given around the world to help people, just free energy, Tesla stuff. So he was hacking in there. Well, now he discovers these notations of existence of non-terrestrial officers. So non-terrestrial means obviously not on planet. So we've either got some military personnel up in space somewhere. So either on the space station, in a craft we don't know about. So, and that there are fleet-to-fleet transfer requests under this program. And so he proceeds to dig, and what he discovers is that under the stuff there's 8 motherships, large ships that are about 600 feet in length that are up there, and then 43 small scout ships. And these all operate under the Air Force Space Command there's about 300 personnel at this facility. So he's finding all this information out. And so now this is out there. And so now people are looking into it. And I don't know if you recognized a possibility like for the UFOs in that cigar shape. That's actually a common sighting. When people see UFOs, they say they see this long cigar-shaped UFO. And so there's a potential that these ones, what they're seeing is the Solar Warden's cigar-shaped motherships. And that a lot of these UFOs that we're seeing with lights are potentially the scout ships flying around. So this is coming out. So, and then I kind of tied it to more, as I was looking at this, I kind of tied a little bit more towards modern day, where you have Donald Trump just created the Space Force a couple years ago. Everybody was laughing. They're like, what a joke, Space Force. I mean, it was just, but then you start thinking about it. So he signs December 20th, 2019 as part of the 2020 National Defense Authorization Act. And immediately spaceforce.mil was launched. And so, I'll throw it out to you guys. Do you think that maybe this was a signal from President Trump saying that this exists? And I can't just come out and say it does, but I can create this. And then the second part to that question is, it's kind of like with the current, space race between SpaceX, Blue Origin, ULA. We're approaching this thing where, we potentially are going to need to have some presence up there to break up a wild, wild west situation. Because, you're going to have these rival corporations vying for resources. So
what are you gonna break up though? That's what, real quick, it's just like international waters. It's international, it's like, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's, in my understanding, the whole reason like Space Force had came out was, I take it with a grain of salt, was to protect our satellite and our interests, because obviously if satellites go down, our communication, we're pretty much dead in the water. So we need to have those. So I've always known on some level that the whole Space Force program was for us to be proactive, because essentially if you control satellites, you have superiority. Now granted, that could be a way for, I would like to believe on some level that if we were all boys with Donnie, and we were like, hey man, you're in the White House now. Are there aliens? He'd be like, well, I can't tell you, but stay away from over here, like.
Yeah. I can tell you want to go over here.
Yeah, I think he's, to say that he's kind of throwing up a flare might be a stretch. I think he's more of using his. I think from what we've seen so far in the past few years, I think he's trying to be more proactive instead of reactive on a lot of issues. The whole thing, I try to do the double-edged sword of when it comes to like SpaceX and any commercial flight into outer space. It's easier for a private citizen like Elon Musk or something who has a boatload of money to be able to do something more than the bureaucracy and the red tape of the U.S. government trying to get something done. Like
Yeah.
usually takes years. You have to appropriate funding, then you have to go through designs, and you have to. There's just too much red tape. But if you're Joe Schmo, and you're like, well, I'm a billionaire, let me see what the fuck I can do. And essentially, you're doing the Wile E. Coyote strapping a rocket to your back and lighting it and seeing what happens. But
yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it was the last time you were on, maybe, where I kind of mentioned a little bit about where I don't believe that story. I mean, I can search up real quick to get the details. But in Afghanistan, when we lost all those special forces on that slow-moving helicopter, I was just like, I'm not military. So, like I said, I mean, but to me, just looking at it like strategic-wise, why would you load so many valuable assets on one of the most slow-moving pieces of equipment that's out there, flying low to the ground where it gets shot down by a shoulder-fire missile from an Afghani tribesman?
yeah, and it makes you wonder. I mean, obviously, with our day and age, you see so many movies and so many different TV shows where guys are just disappearing and then using that as a cover to go
Mhm.
work some clandestine operations. Whether or not that's true, that's I've always grown up knowing that you write about things you know. So even though it's a possibility,
And then here we are in your life.
yeah, and that's and what blows my mind is I think, given all the things that we see nowadays, it's really hard that people are so, I say, close-minded,
Mhm.
but they just aren't open to the possibilities that yes, there could be something going on in space that we don't know about. One, because that could be a whole different level of government involvement that we will never know about, and then it just slowly trickles down. So
Yeah, that's kind of going into this. I mean, looking at some of the sites, I mean, they get into, like, you get New World Order, you get, they go crazy with some of the stuff, and I'm looking more at the practicality, just because, like you said, I mean, it's obvious that it happens. The CIA, Black Ops, there's these guys that are listed as, deceased,
Now,
and they're on missions. So it's one of these things. So it wouldn't be within the realm of possibility if you're going to create the space, this force, you're going to need military personnel. So what better way to keep something secret than you just have a helicopter full of guys that they're now, deceased. We've all grieved for them, and now that these guys are up above,
yeah,
and nobody would know. And it's just because to me, I've never, like, some of those things where training accidents where you have a helicopter's found, you don't find the bodies. It just, you always makes you wonder. It's like, is this moving personnel just to get it off the books to where that way you've got bodies to do in some other activity, as opposed to legit, it's on the books, because obviously there's no congressional oversight on this. I mean,
yeah,
I go back to September, September 10th, right before the towers. Donald Rumsfeld gets on there talking about the trillions that are missing and unaccounted for. So something's being spent on. So you could tie this in there. This program, apparently, what he found through hacking, was it's been around since 1980. So the time of Reagan. So this is, back when the space race was really ramping up with Star Wars, with the Soviets. So this, it could have been one of those things where this was a legitimate thing. They're like, we need to get something up there, so that way we can take out, a Russian satellite that's trying to do something to us, like you said.
it's when you look at the big picture, and not to bring up the old podcast that we did a couple of weeks ago where we talked about, Roswell, but I mean, it really makes you wonder. There's too many things that are coincidences, and then maybe there's something going on that we can't just see the bigger picture on.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've kind of reached that threshold in the past that makes it evident that there's something that we should be understanding. It could be potential. I will always firmly believe that, given that there is so much unknown about space, and we are only able to search so much a year of the infinite and the vast
Yep.
amounts out there, there's just got to be something out there nonetheless. I think going as far as saying, like, do we have to be prepared? If whatever being comes all the way over here to Earth, what weapon system are we going to use to protect ourselves? You know, hope supreme. No alien zones allowed. You know, like
yeah, exactly. I know. I'm trying to find that other one real quick. That other article I saw where it talked about. Let's see. One of the things that they talked. Let's see. There it is. Another version of this that there like a possibility for this thing was that Solar Warden is an Earth Interstellar Space Program, and it's called SOC. But that one, what it does is it is a project that was designed to create sunspots. So the cool zones and send those solar waves to a directional node in space, which in turn can aim those solar waves at targets. So kind of a little bit like Force Awakens, when they're pulling solar energy, directional fire it.
I haven't seen it. Spoiler alert much.
Yeah, I know. This is the first one, so I'm sorry.
Sorry. I mean,
so that one to me is a little bit more. Yeah. That one's a little bit more on the crazy side to me. It's just I have a hard time believing that we're out there building solar capturing devices to send.
Yeah, right.
But it leads. Yeah, it kind of leads people to I mean, maybe there's a bit of a belief in that fact that you can. That this guy, what he was looking for of this free energy devices that, the military's hiding, maybe it leads a little credence to that they have this stuff. If, in fact, this is one of the thoughts that they've got this ability to harness solar energy. Maybe they have some of these things. I mean, we go back to the Philadelphia experiment. I mean, that was back in the 40s. I mean, you can only think what they've done in, 70 years since then.
Well, I mean, if we were able to use solar technology, if you boil it down, right, we're able to use solar-powered cells, right, to capture the sun's energy and harness it, and then able to expel it and utilize it to power people's homes. Is it really so far-reaching to say that there's another way to concentrate that energy on a bigger level? I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm not any type of scientist whatsoever. Is there a difference in the power of the sun outside of our atmosphere? Is it more, I can only assume it's more intense, and our atmosphere protects us. So maybe the power is more amplified and they're able to do more with it.
Yeah, that's I was looking to see if I got any more, but no, I don't know. That's crazy. It's one of those. You have both aspects now. You have the crazy conspiracy side of it, but then you have the actual documented side that this hacker discovered. So did the government place this stuff in the chance that Gary McKinnon is going to hack in and find this thing? I mean, because obviously he got in a system that wasn't supposed to be there. I mean, they wanted this guy extradited from Scotland, but UK wouldn't extradite him. And, so he's found this stuff. So obviously they've put all this information in there. So something to this regard exists, whether or not it's this giant space fleet of 8 motherships and 42 scout ships, or 43. And, they all operate under Air Force Space Command. I mean, does this tie in with the Denver Airport conspiracy? The Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Area 51, where it's. I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole. You can start pulling that string and just like, well, this ties to that. Before long, you're that guy with the board with pictures with string tied between them. So I don't know. I mean, I just know that based off what he has, we have fact, but now we have, obviously, because secrecy, we have all this other information we're trying to discover. and piece into the holes that we don't know. Like, where are these military ones? How are they recruiting? How are they doing this? Nobody knows. All we know is that they have personnel. Apparently, they've got to have some physical craft, something up there. I mean, is it that experimental craft that's been up in space? I don't know if you guys know about that one.
No.
It's that one that, let me look that up real quick. But it's the one that's been, I think, NASA, a partnership with NASA and Boeing. It's that ship that's been up in space, just circling around for, I was up there for, I think, almost 2 years. So is this the type of thing that you got somebody up there working on some of this, or is that just a cover for what's already there?
It's a lonely job.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're going around shooting aliens and space lasers, I mean, you're living the dream.
It's like Gundam Wing,
That's what it is, man. Hey, Elon Musk is not sending up satellites; he's sending up weapons and refilling all their ammo and food. That's what he's doing. Man.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. How are you really going to know what's truly on any spaceship going out to the International Space Station?
You don't.
So I mean, there's always going to be a odd, like a percentage where this could potentially be a real thing, and there could be some sort of apparatus that could be like an individual pod or some sort of way for people to, like, transportation.
They're building up, yeah.
Yeah, because
they're setting up, pieces of a ship, probably vehicles, and I don't know, man. Like, if there is a space fleet up there, how when's the last time we shot a shuttle off? Like 2000 what? Man, it's been forever since the last time we shot a shuttle off.
Like actual NASA.
Yeah,
we actually had 2009 or 2010.
So unless they've been somehow shooting crew members up there, there's been a crew. If there is a crew for almost 10 years up there, and damn, if there is,
yeah, right here, DARPA. DARPA is involved in this, and it's an XS-1 experimental spaceplane booster with a planned capability to So that's and then Boeing has been working on one. So you have a couple of different experimental craft that have been up there. My wife even had one where when she was younger, she's watching NASA live feed, and they're watching there, and one of the astronauts is like, "Whoa, what was that?" And then when it went black, and then when it came back on, that never happened again. That was all cut. And so there's many instances, like, people are watching it where they'll see some astronaut, they'll be up there in the space station, they'll be doing something, they'll be like, "Oh my God, what's that?" And then you don't see it again. It's cut out of the feed. That part no longer exists. And so that's part of the thing. I mean, did they see one of the scout ships? Because if it's been around since 1980, like I said, if we were already doing phasing technology, time travel, teleportation experiments in the 40s, imagine what we got now. I mean, you could just be up there. I mean, if you don't know anything about it, it'd be like us. We work hard, astrophysics, we're science. We get on a mission, we get up in the space station. We don't know about this. They're not read into it. They're not going to be told, "Hey, you're going to see the Cigar mothership, and it's going to be shooting out, scout ship babies." You're not going to see, that's not going to be in your read-in file. You're just going to be up there. All of a sudden, you're going to see the ship. You're like, "What the hell was that?" And next thing you know, you no longer work at NASA.
Well, you're gonna need a different base, because if it's International Space Station, then we have our own base. It's just weird. I don't know, it's crazy. It's a thought, man, but it's just so far out there.
It's a moon base.
Well, have you ever seen, like, NASA's website of what's, like, the debris and shit that's encircling the Earth? And that's why their windows are super finite, is like, because there's just so much stuff out there. I mean, is it possible that there could be things in all of the junk? At the same time, though, I think it would be really hard to... I think nowadays it would be very difficult to launch something without someone picking it up, right? And two, if you were able to launch something, I think it might be easy to get lost in all the debris. I mean, because you got to think, if the International Space Station's on one side of the Earth, you could in theory be on the opposite side of the Earth and literally be thousands of miles away. You know, so it's possible that some dude could be like, "Oh snap, they're right around the corner," boop, and then it moves them. You know.
Yeah. No, I don't. It's, I was just thinking as you're doing that, it's just, okay. So what if somebody said, well, maybe they're shuttling all the pieces up there, but that would take a lot.
Well, he's launching a rocket every damn day. It seems like.
But to build like a 600-foot ship, it's shaped like a cigar. I mean, that's going to take more than that's going to take more than a couple rockets to move that material.
Well, I mean, I don't want to dig too deep into SpaceX, but what's his main goal is to shoot 12,000 more rockets of satellite pieces, right?
Starlink.
12,000 satellites. There's already enough junk in space, apparently. Now you're shooting 12,000 more satellites. Like, I don't know.
I picture like Guardians of the Galaxy, where all of a sudden they're all linked up.
He did send a car.
Yeah.
He sent a car. And everyone was like, "Oh shit, he sent a car." That's cool. So I mean, is it possible that there are other things going up in those rockets? I mean, I could come up with a manifest and be like, "Hey guys, this is what's going up in the space." But
the only thing that would have made it more epic is if he had the spaceman give him the middle finger and set, with Blue Origin, stuff like that.
No, I don't.
I'm totally troll the other guys and just like, yeah, see, I can put my car into space, fools.
I'm not calling you guys old, but me being youngest one, obviously. Do you think that the technology wasn't as advanced as it is nowadays when you guys are my age? That my generation and younger now is just distracted by technology and media, to where they can be like, "Oh, we're slipping up a little bit. Oh, we sent a Tesla into space, or we'll just start something different." And then everyone's like, "Oh, we're distracted," and then there goes that fucking. That's why there's not many conspiracy theorists anymore, like my age, because everyone's like, "Oh, they're distracted by this, distracted by that." I don't know. There's not many people who are like, everything I think about, everyone's like, no, you're retarded. That's fake. I don't think so, man. You're just not thinking the same way. There's a possibility, but I don't know.
Listen, if there's 732,000 different genders, there's a possibility that there could be so much going on. When it comes to,
we have a different type of propulsion. Yes. Oh, you got attacked.
Sorry, car missile came in.
No, man, it's just
one of them. I mean, you got to think the computing power on our phones, and I'm using my iPad for this. That didn't exist when the Apollo rockets went up.
Yeah.
So
this is more than the Apollo rocket had on it.
Yeah. So where does all this technology come from? How does it all begin? Reaching back to the previous combo that we had about UFOs and Roswell and all the different technology, a lot of things have come. The microwave has been an invention that came from our space flight in our program. So I mean, it's when you think about the technology and how things have changed and how the younger generations themselves can get lost and not pay attention to things, I feel like that's a whole different conversation about what the generation's priorities are. They want to be an Instagram influencer.
That's all it is, man. I mean, think about it. What is the trending thing right now? What do you see? Broomsticks. What happened a week and a half, 2 weeks ago? NBA legend Kobe Bryant died. Everyone could see. No one remembers that. Now we're talking about broomsticks standing up. It's just my generation's just shit.
Shiny object.
Yeah, pretty much. New shiny object. It's all it is. Tragedy. Here we go. Or getting close to something. Look at this shiny object. It's just crazy, man.
Well, that in my eyes, that was when we talked about the Vegas shooting a couple of months ago. It was like, something's coming up. Boom, there's another mass shooting.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you think about it too. It's nothing to do with this. A couple of days ago, the 2-year anniversary of Parkland happened. It's already been 2 years since Parkland happened.
jeez, it's been 2
Yeah,
years.
it's been 2 years since that Parkland got shut up. I was like, what? It's just time flies, and it's just you get distracted by so many things. And how many other shootings have happened since then?
Well, I mean, I think when it comes to, I never even knew about this solar warden until Craig had mentioned to me. And I was like, holy shit! Like there was Huffington Post was talking about this years ago, and they were talking about not only the program but then also that guy Gary McKinnon, and that was like national news. Like he hacked into NASA.
Yep.
I anytime growing up in my whole life, any TV or movie was like, oh, do you have a NASA supercomputer? Well, clearly this guy over in Scotland does because he just hacks NASA.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's why.
See, now I'm gonna go way too far. When did that hack happen? What year? What month? Did it say?
It was 2001, 2002.
Okay. So this is my brain thinking like, okay, this happened in 2001. What happened also in 2001? 9/11. Maybe he did this before 9/11, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, big, huge thing.
Yeah, he did it.
Was it August?
Yeah, he did it February 2001 to March 2002.
He did it for almost
13 months. So for 13 months, he's hacking into the military, and that's kind of where this conspiracy, has a little bit of legs in the fact that, like I said, because most conspiracies you get, all right, it's so Bohemian Grove, it's the Illuminati, it's this, this Bilderberger group, it's, you've got all these things, but then, people are like, they roll their eyes. But this one, you're like you said, Huffington Post, you have other ones that are reporting on it, that's actually in the news. Major news agencies are covering this. I mean, this guy hacked in the stuff, left messages on the stuff. So when he's telling you, I found this information, you kind of have to give a little bit of credence to it, because at that point you're like, the guy's got balls that he gave the middle finger to the U.S. military and said, hey, your security's crap.
Yeah.
He 13 months.
Yeah. Your security is crap, and you guys are the equivalent of terrorists, and I'm going to keep doing this to you. I mean, that's got some serious stones.
Good for him. On some level, good for him.
Yeah.
And you could tell, he got bored at it too, but then he sent a message, hey, you suck. Like, he just got bored. He's like,
yeah, this isn't some hot pocket, feasting guy down in mom's basement that's just throwing shade on a chat board. I mean, this guy's actually putting, hacking into stuff. And I'm like, okay, all right. I'm getting to listen to
He called out the U.S. military.
Where's he at now? He's working for the U.S. military now. Like, we need you.
Oh, look at this. I don't know if
what's going on with him?
As far as I know, he's still alive, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, it'd have been a huge conspiracy if he would have ended up just Epsteined.
Oh, yeah.
He had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Suddenly brake failure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it's, kind of wrapping it up. But so same thing. You got a guy that made major hack. He's believable. He's actually putting stuff on military sites, shutting down thousands of computers in the military. And he's telling you, this is the stuff I found. This is like Snowden. I mean, this stuff, you can't rebury it. And that's kind of where I was saying with Trump is maybe this is one of those things where they're like, with what's coming ahead, they probably said, okay, look, people already know about this. We're going to, SpaceX is launching stuff like crazy now. We can't do anything about this. Pandora box has already been opened. So if people start seeing stuff, how are we going to explain this? Well, we created a space force. Well, what do you need to have a space force? Well, obviously we got to have space vehicles. You got to have space personnel. So now everything that's there is now you could physically legitimize. So now if they came down and said, oh yeah, that cigar-shaped thing, yeah, that's ours.
It's outdated now.
Do it.
Outdated.
Hey, why is that Pac-Man the original one? Crazy.
Yeah.
Asteroids, what?
Now, with the election coming up, do you think he's gonna keep pushing that harder and harder? Like, hey, look, we got Space Force, and then push it more. You think?
I doubt it. It'll be like anything. I think it's just one of those like it'll be the shiny.
Yeah.
It'll be the shiny object to distract. I think it was at the time it served its purpose, but I think it was one of those. In that case, maybe it was just that one where you put it out there you put it out in the system, to where now you have to. When you look back at it, people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, we talked about that already. Yeah, we knew it's not that big of a deal now because, like I said, you've created it." So I don't know.
I think that it now opens up the door to where you could slowly squirrel a budget away from clandestine operations, purchases, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I'm just really hoping that they come out with like a $20,000 signing bonus, like student loan repayment. That'd be pretty awesome. I just
whirling around outside the atmosphere, flashing red and blues, pulling over Bezos. Going too fast now.
There's a Space Force MPs again. Damn it! Yeah. I got another dude.
Power down.
I'd be really curious to know what the actual end goal is. I mean, I know they're like, well, whatever. What do they think is going to be foreseeable? What is the actual ramp up time? And then from there, when do they think things are going to be fully operational? I mean, and what's crazy, when I hear people talk about it, they think like it's some nut job out there type of thing. But then it's like, and then I mentioned to them, I'm like, well, how do you utilize your GPS? You're not going to mapquest.com and printing them up. You're using your Google and Apple Maps, and you're using live feed data. Like, that's got to be fed from something. And there's literally thousands of satellites all over the place. Like, we have to protect those assets. But then it just makes you think what more could be out there.
Well, it kind of brings, just a little sidebar. So I've always wondered that. So rocket launch, we always have that certain point where the feed always cuts. And I've always wondered, is there something like that? And so it could be this. What if this stuff is at that level and they're worried about a live feed catching something like this on camera?
Yeah.
Because supposedly this stuff isn't like floating deep space. It's like in the upper atmosphere, these ships. So what if at that point when it's cutting out, that's like a negotiated thing where NASA, SpaceX, everybody is under the thing. You have to cut your feed at this point because classified information. This is national security. You can't show this stuff on air.
And that could just be a simple TV director that's like, all right, camera 1, we're switching to camera 3, and 3, 2, and then they roll and then they transition into another. I mean, that could just be a simple, here's $100 and a handshake.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't have to necessarily be too complicated.
No, because you watch every launch, it gets that second stage and immediately cuts to the computer generated rocket and it just shows it going along, traveling. And I'm always like, does a camera not work at that point? I mean, you can still have a feed going. Yeah, it may not be able to, you should be able to still watch it at a later time. Yeah, it may not be delayed. But you should still be able to see that footage, but there's never any footage until it actually gets out in orbit. And then you'll see something like docking with the space station, or you'll see something. But there's always that point, and I've always wondered if maybe that is that point where maybe there's, this is where we maintain this ship, this fleet. Can't show it. Cut the feed. Now you can bring it back.
I watched briefly the last shuttle launch when they were doing the predetermined abortion on the mission when they aborted.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it on the actual app on my TV, and then I had it on my iPad. And even there's no one. You have this one view, this one camera view the whole entire time. Do you think speculating on that makes us sound crazy?
To some people, yes. I'd say yes. You'd be like, "Oh, here comes the flat earthers. We live in a dome." You know,
Truman Show.
yeah. It's one of those. It's is there some of those things? Yes, but at the same time, you look at it and you're like, I've always, for me, it's always been, there's always been those questions. It's like, why, why doesn't this thing? Because I mean, we should be able, in modern technology, we should be able to have a straight shot the entire time.
Yeah,
There's no reason why we shouldn't have had these things, and that's why I'm like, if it's restricted airspace, you're not supposed to show this. It'd make complete sense. I mean, then you're avoiding sounding like you're part of that. Well, we live in a dome. That's why the rockets curl. So yeah, but those. I mean, to me, it makes sense that this is a certain elevation and altitude that you are not allowed to film at all. There's no live feed. You have to cut here at this elevation point up to this point, and then you're good.
There was that one launch one time that I did see where it was like it went up, and then it confused me. It went up like this, and it went like straight. And I was like, "What in the holy hell is that doing? Like it should be going straight, but it went up and then straight." I was like, "What?" But I don't know. That's the way they launch them, though.
Breaking news:
don't know, man.
Flat Earther. Oh, I know it. Lost him.
Damn it.
No,
I'm
I
just
don't
trying
know.
to figure out if that's the case. I've walked a lot of miles. When are we gonna fall off?
Yeah, exactly. No. All right. Well, like I said, that's Solar Warden. I mean, there's not much. I don't have much else. I mean, other than just there's definitely something that's being done up there. Whether we've got a gigantic space fleet that's preparing for combat with extraterrestrial threats.
They're fighting now.
We're building Star Wars solar weapons to fight asteroids. I mean,
I had looked at the the shuttle or the rocket, whatever you want to call it, the mothership, if you will, and it kind of reminded me of the either the monorail. The photos that I saw was either like the monorail over at like Epcot and Disney that goes back and forth. It had a very similar look to that. And the other ones I saw, as I mentioned to you, Craig, it looked like very Mac and Me-ish. So it's hard to know. First off, none of these look super legitimate, and they never do. Which is unfortunate because. What'd you say?
I said that movie's overrated too.
Yeah.
It looks like the Disney monorail because Disney's funding most of SpaceX. So.
I mean, how many acres does Disney own?
I don't even know.
Oh yeah, it's like square. God, I want to say some, miles.
Square miles.
Yeah,
square miles.
Yeah.
So, and at this point, slowly Disney's going to take over the world.
They already have.
They'll charge you a fee for it. No big deal.
Yeah.
They're going to charge you.
And they'll have blackout dates on when you can be a normal citizen. No.
Space travel, and we're going to go back to this Space Force. See, we've got customs up there. Here's what they were doing. They were building a custom station. So when we come through with our bags, on the space liner.
Why do I have to take off my shoes?
Technology.
You take off your shoes. I literally can't. I will die if I take these shoes off.
Right.
I don't make the rules. Okay, Chet, calm it down. I mean, there's. I want to look up the Rothschilds. We should have a conversation about the Rothschilds.
We will.
About that.
We will.
That'd be.
Well, that's the old school world elite. That is just, you see all these Forbes, wealthy list. There's a reason why none of them are on that list is because they are wealthy. I mean, we're talking Bezos is their butler.
My God.
Yeah. I mean, when you're old school, I mean, we're talking, potentially like some of these families are worth trillions.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I'll get there one day.
Just a few thousand Jeff Bezoses, just a couple.
I'm gonna buy a whole city. Do you guys take debit?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cash,
We're not really liking Venezuela right now. Would you guys mind taking them out for us? Oh. Yes, we will.
massive earthquake, freaking, volcano, everything erupting, shit.
Oh yeah, so we'll definitely get in those, And while we're running around worrying about the Earth coming to an end, like I said, at least our beards are going to look amazing.
Yeah.
We just gotta get some of that stuff for Keith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I keep on forgetting to get the brat stuff. You guys, horrible. I'm so busy. It's been ridiculous.
If only there was a website below me. Oh, there is.
Oh, right there.
BroadSpiritCare.com. Go in there.
I'm definitely going to clean that beard now.
Capital B on there. Make sure you do that, capital B. But you get 20% off free shipping. Use that stuff. Amazing. Like I said, Austin looks like he might have used some. It's not as
I did. It looks better. But the problem is now my beard soap disappeared. Someone stole it somehow in my house of one beard. So I got to go visit Kelly this weekend at the Winter Garden Farmers Market. Pick up some more oil and some beard soap too.
If you're in the Central Florida area, look up Nancy Burke, Nanny Cakes. Get your event cake for their birthdays, weddings. Really, especially if you're, like I said, local Central Florida area, she'll get you taken care of at 407
923-2898. I think she's got a wedding cake this Friday for Valentine's Day, so it's a pretty big cake she's making.
Oh, nice.
3bearspodcast.com. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram. Follow us there, YouTube. Like that, like they say, smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell.
Share it.
Those things. Like and share it. Same way, obviously, you're on Facebook. You already know about us, but please share it, like it. Go to our sponsors. Keith, go to our sponsors.
Yep, Keith.
Bros Beard Care.
Well, Keith got his stuff
Caroline
too.
will love it for if you do. She will. Any excuse.
She likes my beard. We were discussing me growing.
Beard. Yeah, that's right.
We were discussing growing out my hair and then having a thick mustache like Ron Swanson. I've really embodied this. And she looked at me and she was like, "Go get a haircut."
Remember Rule 47. You touch my beard, I get to touch your butt. So the more chances you can get her to touch that beard, so get some of that beard oil.
Hey, what about Keith Clinton too? We gotta promote Keith.
Right.
So
Keith, thank you again, sir, for coming in and helping us out. Chris, we hope you start feeling better. As always, gentlemen, thank you so much. Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, sir.